Anthropic just raised $10 billion and hit a $350 billion value, making it one of the biggest AI deals in history. At the same time, Tailwind CSS saw its money drop by 80% because AI is writing all the code now. Grok created a huge problem with fake videos that got the entire European Union involved. OpenAI launched ChatGPT Health. Google is finally bringing Gemini directly into Gmail for everyone, and China might approve Nvidia's most powerful chips this quarter, which could completely change the chip war. All of this happened in just days, so let's talk about it. Alright, let's start with the Anthropic news because this number is absolutely wild. $10 billion in new funding. That puts Anthropic's total value at $350 billion, which makes it more valuable than most companies on earth right now. And honestly, the timing of this raise tells you everything about where the AI race is heading. Just a few months ago, people were saying the money would slow down, that investors were getting careful. Instead, Anthropic just pulled in one of the largest funding rounds ever seen in tech. The investors include some of the biggest names in the world, and they are clearly betting that Claude and Anthropic's safety-first approach is going to win long-term. Here is the thing, Anthropic is now sitting on enough money to train models that cost billions of dollars per run. We're talking about compute budgets that can rival anything OpenAI or Google can throw at training. And the company already proved it can compete at the top. Claude Sonnet 4.5 is currently one of the best models available. It sits near the top of almost every benchmark. People use it for coding, writing, analysis, and it keeps getting better with each update. So when you see a $10 billion raise, that is not just confidence in the current product. That is confidence that Anthropic can build the next generation of models and maybe even reach AGI trust. Now, the $350 billion value is interesting because it puts Anthropic ahead of most AI startups and even ahead of many giant tech companies. To put that in perspective, that is more than the value of companies like AMD and Intel right now. It shows that investors believe foundation models are going to be worth trillions of dollars in the future. And Anthropic is positioning itself as one of the three main players in that race, alongside OpenAI and Google DeepMind. The funny part is that Anthropic has always been the quieter company. They do not do massive launch events. They do not hype every single release. They just keep shipping better models and improving safety research. And now with this funding, they have the resources to go even bigger. Expect faster updates, larger context windows, better reasoning, and probably some surprises nobody is expecting. The AI world just got a lot more competitive. Now let's talk about Tailwind CSS because this story is honestly shocking. Tailwind CSS is one of the most popular tools for building websites. Developers love it because it makes styling fast and clean. The company behind it has been making serious money for years, but in the last quarter, their revenue dropped by 80%. That is not a small dip, that is a total collapse. And the reason is simple. AI is now writing all this CSS code that developers used to write by hand. Tools like GitHub Copilot, ChatGPT, Claude, and Cursor can generate entire Tailwind layouts in seconds. You just describe what you want and the AI spits out the code. Developers do not need to remember class names anymore. They do not need to look up documentation. They just ask the AI and it works. This is exactly what everyone predicting would happen, but seeing it actually play out in real revenue number is wild. The creator of Tailwind CSS, Adam Wathan, has not made an official statement yet, but people in the developer community are talking about it everywhere. Some developers are saying this is the first real proof that AI is replacing entire business models. Others are pointing out that this is just the beginning. If AI can replace something as useful as Tailwind CSS, what else is next? The interesting part is that Tailwind CSS is not a bad product. It is still great. But when AI can do the same thing for free and faster, the value disappears. Companies that sell developer tools are starting to realize they're competing against free AI assistants that get better every month. And honestly, this is going to be the story for a lot of software companies over the next few years. If your product is basically a shortcut for writing code, AI is going to eat your lunch. Now here is where it gets interesting. Some people are saying Tailwind CSS should pivot and build AI tools themselves. Maybe they could train a model specifically for web design or create an AI-powered design assistant. That way they stay relevant instead of getting replaced. But the problem is, that big companies like OpenAI and Anthropic already have models that do this job really well. So even if Tailwind CSS builds something, they're competing against giants with way more resources. The whole situation shows how fast the AI wave is moving. One quarter you are making millions, the next quarter your revenue is down 80% because AI learned how to do your job. Wild times. Alright, now let's talk about the Grok disaster because this one is causing serious problems. Grok is the AI model from XAI, Elon Musk's company. It is built into X, which used to be called Twitter, and recently Grok got an image generation feature. The problem is that Grok has almost no safety filters. You can ask it to create pretty much anything, including fake images of real people, and that is exactly what happened. People started generating deepfakes of politicians, celebrities, and public figures doing things they never did. Some of these images looked extremely real, and because they were being shared on X, they spread fast. The European Union noticed this and immediately launched an investigation. They are looking at whether XAI violated digital safety laws by allowing harmful content to be generated without proper controls. Here is the thing. The EU has strict rules about AI and fake content. Under the Digital Services Act, platforms have to take responsibility for harmful material created by their tools, and Grok clearly did not have enough safety measures in place. Other AI image generators like DALL-E, Midjourney, and Stable Diffusion all have filters that block you from creating images of real people in harmful situations. But Grok was way more open. Some people loved that freedom. They said it was about free speech and not censoring creativity. But the problem is that freedom is also means people can create fake news, fake evidence, and fake scandals. And in an election year, that is extremely dangerous. The EU investigation could lead to fines, restrictions, or even a ban on Grok in Europe. Elon Musk has not backed down though. He has been posting on X saying that AI should not be controlled by governments and that people should have the freedom to create whatever they want. But the EU does not care about this opinion. They care about the law. And if Grok keeps allowing deepfakes, the consequences could be serious. The bigger issue here is that this is probably just the beginning. Every AI company is going to face this question. How much freedom do you give users versus how much control do you enforce? OpenAI went heavy on safety and gets criticized for being too restrictive. XAI went the opposite direction and now faces legal trouble. There is no perfect answer, but one thing is clear. Governments around the world are watching AI companies closely now. And if your model creates fake content that causes real harm, you are going to be investigated. Now let's talk about OpenAI because they just launched ChatGPT Health. And honestly, this might be their biggest move into the real world yet. Here is the thing. People are already using ChatGPT for health questions constantly. OpenAI says over 230 million people ask health and wellness questions every single week. That is not a small number. That is more than the population of most countries. And now OpenAI is making it official with a whole separate space inside ChatGPT designed specifically for health. But this is not just a chatbot answering random medical questions. ChatGPT Health lets you connect your actual medical records and wellness apps directly into a system. We're talking about Apple Health, MyFitnessPal, Weight Watchers, Alltrails, Instacart, Polyton, and even electronic medical records through a partnership with a company called B.Well. So now, instead of just asking generic health questions, you can upload your recent blood test results, your fitness data from your watch, your nutrition logs, and ChatGPT will give you answers based on your actual health information. That is completely different level of usefulness. The way it works is pretty smart. ChatGPT Health lives in its own separate space inside the app. Your health conversations, files, and connected apps are all stored separately from your other chats. Health information never leaks back into your regular ChatGPT conversations, and OpenAI made it very clear that conversations in health are not used to train their foundation models. That is huge because people were already worried about privacy. So OpenAI built extra layers of protection specifically for these features. Purpose-built encryption, isolation, separate memories, and you can view or delete your health memories anytime you want. If you start a health-related conversation in regular ChatGPT, the system will suggest moving it into health for those extra protections. The whole setup is designed to keep your medical information locked down. Now, here is the interesting part. OpenAI worked with over 260 physicians from 60 countries for more than 2 years to build this. Those doctors provided feedback on model outputs more than 600,000 times. So this is not just OpenAI guessing what doctors or patients need. They actually sat down with real healthcare professionals and built the system based on what they said would be useful. And the goal is not to replace doctors. OpenAI made that extremely clear. ChatGPT Health is not intended for diagnosis or treatment. It is designed to help you understand your health information, prepare for doctor appointments, make sense of lab results, and navigate the complicated healthcare system. The feature is rolling out slowly. Right now, only a small group of early users can access it. You can sign up for a waitlist if you have ChatGPT Free, Go Plus, or Pro Plus, but it is not available in the European Economic Area, Switzerland, or the United Kingdom. Those regions have extremely strict data privacy laws. So OpenAI is probably waiting until they can meet all the legal requirements. Now let's talk about Google, because they just brought Gemini AI directly into Gmail for everyone. This is a huge deal because Gmail has over 1.8 billion users. That means more people are about to interact with AI than ever before. The way it works is simple. You open Gmail and Gemini is right there inside the app. You can ask it to write emails, summarize long threads, find important messages, schedule replies, and even translate emails into other languages. It is like having a personal assistant built inside your inbox. And honestly, the quality is really good. Gemini is one of the most powerful AI models available right now. It understands context, handles long conversations, and writes in a natural style. So when you ask it to draft a professional email, it actually sounds professional. When you ask it to summarize a 50 email thread, it pulls out the key points and skips the fluff. The interesting part is that Google is making this available to free users, not just paid subscribers. Most companies are putting their best AI features behind paywalls. But Google is doing the opposite. They want everyone using Gemini, so it becomes the default AI assistant for billions of people. And that makes sense. Google makes money from ads, not subscriptions. So the more people use Gmail with Gemini, the more data Google collects, and the better their AI gets. It is a smart strategy, but it puts pressure on Microsoft, which has been pushing Copilot into Outlook. Now, the two biggest email platforms in the world both have AI assistants built in. The race is on. Alright, now let's talk about the China-US chip war, because something big might be about to happen. For the last few years, the US has been blocking Nvidia from selling its most powerful chips to China. The goal was to slow down China's AI development by cutting off access to the best hardware. But according to new reports, China is expected to approve Nvidia H200 imports this quarter. This is a massive shift. The H200 is one of Nvidia's most advanced AI chips. It is faster, more efficient, and way more powerful than anything China currently has access to. If China approves the import, it means Chinese AI companies will suddenly have access to same hardware that US companies are using, and that changes everything. Here is why this matters. Right now, Chinese AI companies like Baidu, Alibaba, and ByteDance are training models on older, slower chips. That puts them at a disadvantage compared to OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic, which are using the latest Nvidia hardware. But if China gets access to H200 chips, that gap sinks fast. Chinese companies will be able to train larger models, run faster experiments, and compete directly with the best AI labs in the world. The US government has been trying to prevent exactly this situation. But the problem is that China has been finding workarounds, building their own alternatives, and pressuring the US through trade negotiations. And now it looks like the pressure worked. If China approves H200 imports, it signals that the cheap ban strategy did not work as planned. The bigger picture here is that the AI race is global, and hardware is the bottleneck. Whoever controls the best chips controls the future of AI. Nvidia is the most important company in this race because they make the chips that everyone needs. And now both the US and China are fighting for access to those chips. If China gets the H200, we're probably going to see a huge jump in Chinese AI capabilities over the next years. Expect new models, better performance, and more competition at the top of the leaderboards. The chip war is far from over, but this could be the turning point. That is where we will wrap it up. One thing I'm curious about now is how all these stories connect. Anthropic raising $10 billion. Tailwind CSS losing 80% of revenue, Grok facing legal trouble, OpenAI pushing into health, Google putting Gemini in Gmail, and China possibly getting access to Nvidia's best chip. It all points to the same thing. AI is moving faster than anyone expected, and the entire world is scrambling to keep up. Drop your thoughts below, make sure you are subscribed, hit the like button, and I will see you in the next one.